Do you ever get frustrated with building things with these AI no-code tools? You have this amazing idea in your head, you type it into the prompt, and what you get back is, well, generic, unhelpful, and sometimes just plain wrong or it doesn't work. So you end up spending more time trying to fix it than if you'd just done it a different way. If that sounds familiar, then you're in the right place. You see, every week inside of my school community, Showcasing AI for Business, I sit down with an expert in AI, usually a developer, who's building things for other businesses that they're working with, so that we look at the real world projects that devs are building for those businesses. It's a goldmine of ideas. And during our last chat, Jake, a Silicon Valley developer, dropped some absolute bombshells on how to actually get what you want from these AI builders. So I'm going to pull out 8 of the most powerful clips from that conversation. We're going to cover everything from understanding how to prompt better, the mindset around communicating and explaining to the AI agent exactly what you want, to the importance of actually knowing how to develop and how quickly that is actually going away. And what becomes more important is just the understanding of the thing that you're building and how useful it is for the people that you're building it for. So let's dive in.
Because I find that the outputs from these AI coding agents are mostly dependent on you being able to prompt properly. Mm-hmm. So like if you have 10 years of experience as a software engineer, then you are going to know the right questions to ask and how to direct it a little bit. It's like steering a ship, honestly, in a lot of ways. It's kind of how I view it. Like if you have all the context on what's going on behind the scenes, it's actually better.
Yeah. He says that AI isn't a magic button. It's a powerful tool, yes, but it needs a skilled operator. He compares it to steering a ship. You are the captain of this ship. Your experience, your knowledge of the business and your customers is what guides the AI, and that is the most important. It's not about replacing you. It's about amplifying your expertise. So that's a great mindset to start with.
I have noticed over the last year or so that I've been vibe coding, as we call it, that I've watched the trend of how good the agents are at actually going and tracking down the issues themselves and actually like first shot doing what I asked and doing that without any bugs, and it just works, and they've considered a lot of the edge cases already.
So if we're the captain of the ship, the good news is that ship, the AI, is getting massive upgrades all the time. Jake talks about the trends that he's seen over the last few years where these AI agents are getting shockingly good at getting things right on the first try, making our AI builds not only a lot easier, but a lot more accessible to a lot more people, even those who don't have a development background. So this is exciting, but it's also really disruptive. It means that building things in AI is becoming accessible to everybody. It's getting better at understanding our instructions and what we want and handling the details, which frees us up to focus on the bigger picture. So this has a potentially massive impact on SaaS businesses, which is something that I talk about in a different video. See a link to that video in the description of this video, because it's going to make a big difference to how much you're paying in monthly subscriptions to this SaaS model. And here's a hint, you can already save yourself a fortune by building your own products, and that is the way that things are going to go.
Like let's say somebody's a product person and they understand how to solve problems and how to approach the design of the product. So all else equal, if like there's somebody like that that's really skilled at that versus somebody like me, or I'm not a great example because I kind of focus on all of it, but somebody who has the technical aspects but hasn't focused on actual product development or product design, I would go with the product person in 5 years. That's probably a better person to build that kind of stuff.
So this is huge. Your superpower isn't knowing how to code, it's knowing your customers' problems inside out. The person with the clearest vision for the solution will always get better results from the AI, because the AI now handles the how so that you can focus on the why. It's a massive win for product-focused and business-minded people over developers. Okay, so what about right now? Now, we know that these AI builders often run into problems leading to frustration, but they are getting better every single month. However, Jake actually helps us here by explaining that you don't need to be a developer, but actually knowing something about development is actually a key point, and it is going to really help you out. So if you know just a little bit of development language and understanding, it can help you to debug the problem and prompt the AI for a better fix than simply just asking AI what's the problem and how to fix it. You're basically assisting and working with the AI rather than the AI completely working for you at this moment. However, that is going to change. As soon as you start to build something that is going to be deployable and usable, you will start to run into some pernickety little things, and you'll just end up in error loops and getting really frustrated with it. If you know a little bit about development, then you can kind of debug where it's going wrong and start to prompt it and ask specific things, or use specific terminology, or you already start to think, I think the problem is it's not accessing this table in the database, or whatever that is. So the key takeaway here is that by just learning a few key terms and understanding a little bit about the structure and architecture of development is really going to help you with these low code or no code builds, because you can ask the AI much more specific questions and help the AI to debug things. So instead of saying it's broken, you can say, I think it's not accessing the database correctly, and start probing into what might be going wrong. And that really does make a difference in trying to get the right solution a lot faster. So right now you are still expected to have some development experience, and the AI is working with you as much as for you, but that is changing fast. You're doing anything around the prompt engineering to test, because there's two elements to this, isn't there? There's the model, and then there's also the prompt. And then it's like the amount of variables between the two, because you can do the prompt in so many different ways and in so many different variables, and it's like exponentially number of... it's hard to make a decision because there's exponentially different variations between prompt and models.
Yes, yeah. So that's kind of why I built this interface the way I did, is so I could rapidly test out different models and different prompts here. I like to use OpenRouter now. So whenever I start a new project, I always start off with using OpenRouter. So as opposed to just, deciding to go with Gemini or GPT or OpenAI's models or vice versa, or any of the other frontier models, I can just say, okay, let me be able to switch this. Let me add in the ability to switch this on demand.
So there you go. That's how you solve the problem of endless prompts and endless models. Jake shares his exact strategy on using a tool called OpenRouter, which lets him rapidly switch between different AIs like Gemini, ChatGPT, and others, all on the fly inside of his build. Okay, this next analogy is an absolute favorite of mine, and it might be one of the most valuable tips in this whole video. I point out that we should think about prompting an AI in the exact same way that we would give instructions to a new, albeit highly intelligent employee. So check this out. It makes sense, because I always think of it as if you just had a really intelligent staff member or assistant with you, and you were to tell them, obviously if you don't give them any example whatsoever, they've got full creativity to come back with something, but if you might not be exactly what you want. So if you're quite sure about what you want, then tell the AI. The second thing is, don't give them the wrong instructions, the wrong context. And the third thing is, if you just baffle them with lots of different information and it's not specific, then it gets confusing. Yep. So, just in the same way as you were dealing with a person, just
exactly.
AIs, yes, they're a machine and they're super intelligent. I sometimes think we can get quite lazy thinking, the AI will handle this, I'll just throw everything in. But the reality is, you wouldn't do that to a person. You would try and be specific with them and give them the time to actually explain what you want. So you need to treat the AI system in the same way.
Yeah, I actually find that to be a really good analogy. I think about context windows, the amount of tokens that you can use in the context windows is similar to like a human's working memory. So you don't want to like flood somebody's working memory. Their
attention span.
There's only so much that you can hold in your head. Yeah. And these models are the same. I mean, albeit they're superhuman in that regard, but they still have limitations. But it's still pretty apt analogy, I find, to think about it as like, treat the prompt like you're giving it to a person. Like, what is all of the context that would help a person do this?
It's so simple and yet so powerful. Would you give a new team member a one-sentence vague instruction and expect perfect results? No, you wouldn't. You give them clear goals, relevant examples, and the right context to get the job done. If you treat AI with the same clarity, you'll get incredible results. This is where it all comes together. Building on that new employee analogy, Jake breaks down the exact hierarchy of prompting mistakes that he sees people make. He lists them in order from the absolute worst to the subtle ones that people are still making. So this bit is pure gold.
So you will actually get worse results if you end up giving it way too much, if you use up too many tokens in your prompt.
Interesting.
Something I noticed is that here's the list of priorities is, or the big mistakes when it comes to managing context for prompt engineering is not having any extra context, not having any data. Like you will have much better results if you give it an example.
Yeah.
You give it more context on what you want. Then the next mistake after that, like this is in order of priority, the next mistake would be giving bad data. Like if you give it bad context, you don't want to give it the wrong instructions, otherwise you're going to get really bad results. And then after that, the next mistake would be giving it too much context. So you will actually get worse results if you end up giving it way too much, if you use up too many tokens in your prompt. You're using way too much context. Like if you give it too many instructions or too many conflicting instructions, it'll start, like if I paste in an entire book and then I say, go do something with this, you're going to get pretty bad results because you end up, you end up butting up to the limits of the context window for these models.
Let's just quickly recap that because it's the secret sauce. The biggest mistakes are, the worst one being giving no context or examples. The next worst is giving bad or wrong instructions. And the final mistake is giving it way too much and confusing information. The sweet spot is giving the AI model the right amount of good, clean context, just like you would with a person. Nailing this will completely transform your AI and large language model outputs. So there you have it, 8 powerful practical tips from a developer who is in the trenches building AI every single day. The common thread here is that prompting isn't some dark art, it's about being clear and an effective communicator. So if you apply these ideas, I promise you will save hours of frustration and start getting incredible value from these building tools. And hey, if you enjoyed this and want to be part of these live in-depth conversations every single week, I'd love for you to check out the school community showcasing AI for business, particularly if you're a business owner, because it's going to give you an idea of how other businesses are starting to use AI in their business. It's where you get to see how AI is being used, and the link is right down in the description of this video. Do me a favor, if you did like this video and you got something out of it, then do think about subscribing because I'm going to be bringing out lots of videos like this every single week. And do hit me up in the comments if you want to ask anything, and hopefully I'll see you in the school community. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.